How do you stay out of your head while you're learning all of that?
It's very difficult to stay out of your head while you're learning, because you're training your head to hold this information. But until you know it, not all of it, but a lot of it, until you know it, then the feeling part, when it begins to happen, it's really scary to feel without knowing what you're feeling. But when you begin to feel and you know, because your mind has been trained, then things begin to make sense. But it is a journey of filling up your mind with information. And then eventually what happens as you feel it, the information begins to not be necessary. Because in that feeling place, you don't need to know it. You feel it, and the feeling it allows you to go to the one that knows it. I mean, it is a journey. It's lots of steps and lots of processes.
So my question is about the body, matter. Mm-hmm. And it would seem to me that in order to be in that reciprocal love, giving and receiving relationship with God or Source, I wouldn't necessarily need the body that I've been given, right?
No, you don't.
And so the body, if I understand, and I may not understand correctly, but the body is matter, therefore it's illusion. Mm-hmm. And it feels to me like we're saying, step away from illusion, leave the illusion behind. So so how should we treat our bodies?
That's a great question. So the way that we treat our bodies is we begin to recognize that it is made of pure energy, and that energy is love. So we have to develop a loving relationship with our body.
That's it.
And we need to begin to understand that this body is the energy of God expressing itself. So when you're hating on your body, when you don't like this, you don't like that, it's because we've been taught that there is an ideal look to bodies, and our mind has been conditioned to look a certain way, and we've created this relationship with special bodies, and we want to copy those special bodies. And so much of that denial of our true perfection has created so much density that our body is holding, and of course it gets sick and we don't like our bodies. But at the end of the day, we need to realize that what we are is love. God
and energy.
We're energy. So it's and when those two become one, then you don't have to even clarify that. But when you recognize that God so loved the world that it gave its one and only child through me to bring love to the world, this body is how I interact with the world. So we're developing a very loving relationship with our body, because our body is love. And when you begin to feel love like that, you're willing to give up your body for another, as Jesus did on the cross. As so many people, like Martin Luther King Jr., knew his life was at risk. Why? Because people wanted to silence that he was saying we're all equal. Gandhi, the same thing. He was shot. So once you come to know that you're eternal, you no longer live in fear, because you're using your body to extend love, to extend the message of equality, to extend the message of eternity, to extend the message that it is not okay for you to treat anybody differently, but I'm not going to treat you differently. I'm going to treat you the same. I'm going to love you and respect. So we are going to, people who study the Course and think that everything is an illusion and the body's not real, begin to deny their body, begin to say cancel, not a body. We have a body to be an expression of the individuation of love in action. So we have to come to the place full circle and embody love.
Thank you.
Thank you. Great question. Great question. Well, we are here at, go ahead and ask your question, and then if you don't mind, we'll make that last one, because I want to honor our time. But next week when we get together, we're going to talk, I had said that I was going to bring 10 key concepts from A Course in Miracles, and I'm going to pull those, and I'm going to pull them from lessons so that we can look at how these concepts work with the lessons, and we can process one lesson. If we have time for more than that, we can definitely do that. So what's your question?
You said that the ego is only thoughts, and that some of these thoughts block the truth. Mm-hmm. But some of the other thoughts are positive and express the truth as well. So the ego actually has thoughts that express the truth.
So the ego likes to think positive thoughts. Because the ego, it operates in duality. So there's positive thoughts and there's negative thoughts. When you come to know the truth, you actually won't be thinking, you'll be feeling. So there comes a point that you will feel, and then thoughts that arise to support what you're feeling, like the thought of, oh, I so enjoyed that afternoon that I spent with, Billy Bob. So you're going to have thoughts about it, and those thoughts are just going to be neutral thoughts. They're not going to be positive or negative. They're going to be a reflection of a feeling that you experienced. So think of the ego as thoughts that have polar opposites, that are right or wrong, good or bad, because that's what we want to let go of. You cannot experience equality if there's good and bad, if there's right and wrong. So ego is anything that divides things into polarity, into duality. But when you feel neutrally what love is, yeah, thoughts will arise, but those thoughts are not blocking love. They're just an extension. They're a way for us to communicate love to each other. Does that make sense?
Thank you.
Of course, of course. You guys ask such wonderful questions. When you realize what we really are, it is permanent. When you begin to let go of your idea of separation, and you'll experience each other as a separate being, but you won't have thoughts of separation. You will be experiencing the other as a form of extension. When you begin to do that, you won't have fear of the other. You won't be thinking of the other as matter, because you're going to feel the energy. You're going to feel the light in them. Once you begin to know that we are all light, you're not going to see people as finite or yourself. You won't be operating in past and future. You won't be focused on birth and death. You'll just say, this is my lifetime, let me enjoy it. You'll let go of the things, holding on to things that change, holding on to this job, holding on to this relationship, holding on to this house, to this whatever, because you consider it special and your source of safety. When you're not operating from that and you're not giving that power, as you stop using those thoughts, because that's what we're going to do, you're not going to be stirring them up. This is what happens. This is why they're an illusion. Then all that is left is what is real. That's why nothing real can be threatened, because nothing unreal exists, because it only exists by your belief in it. Does that make sense?
Yes. Visuals are everything.
Yes, they are. So thank you all so much for being here. I'll see you all next week.